Hey Rebel, welcome to Untoxify Your Relationship. Here we will talk about all things healthy and how to get that toxic mess out of you and your partnership. I'm your host, Melissa Webb, a practicing licensed mental health therapist with 10 years experience. I've been on a journey encouraging women to throw the middle finger up at society and to become a rebel, to go against the grain of who and what you are supposed to be and grow into what God has created you to be. And I do this by teaching them skills to cultivate stronger relationships through healthy theology and mental health practices. All right, let's go ahead and hop into it. Hey y'all, welcome. It is episode 15, and today we are going to be talking about all things divorce and how to live more beautifully after divorce. I have a special guest. She's going to go ahead and introduce herself later. I will tell you this. Her name is Keisa Campbell, and I will have all her handles and links in the show notes. So she's giving away a free call to those who listen, and also follow her on Instagram. She has some beautiful pictures. So Miss Keisa Campbell is coming up, so stay tuned and listen to her story about divorce and helping other women through their divorce. You don't want to miss it, so stay tuned. Hey everyone, I have a special guest today. It's just not me talking. Yay. My guest is Keisa Campbell. She is from the Atlanta, Georgia. I met her a couple of months ago via email. She just randomly emailed me, and she's such an amazing Black woman. I was like, oh my God, I have to talk to you more. And so Keisa. So go ahead, introduce yourself to the people who you are and let us know what's up.
Hi, Melissa. I am Keisa Campbell. I empower women over 40 who are overwhelmed and stuck from their journey of divorce to reclaim their lives and thrive so that they may live a beautiful life. That's what I do. Yeah, that's what I do.
No, that was beautiful. Loved it. So tell the folks, how did you get into helping women over 40 through their divorce? Like, how did you get into this field?
Well, unfortunately, there is a thing called divorce, and I experienced it myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So about 4.5 years ago, I went through my own divorce, and it was very, very, very painful. Something I had never experienced before ever in my life. Like, that was the worst pain ever. It felt to me like worse than divorce. Death. Divorce felt worse than death to me. That's how painful it was. I hadn't experienced that. And so I remember in God, like, Lord, let me be the last woman on earth to experience this. If I have to go through this, I don't want another woman to experience this pain. So just give it all to me and let me just bear it, right? But he told me no, because divorce is still happening. So clearly. And so it wasn't until really at the top of the year, mid-year or spring sometime this year, that I really kind of pivoted to this space. Beforehand, I've always been working with women. Primarily, it seemed like they were all married. I had a few single, but I didn't say I worked with married women. It was just the women that resonated with me and my journey. Yeah. They just also happened to, when I look back on it, happen to be married women. And so I decided to pivot to in this area to say, let me help the divorced women. I've been helping other women to live a beautiful life. I want divorced women to know that there's beautiful living on the other side of the divorce. No matter what it's looking like, no matter what it's feeling like, you can't stay in that space, and there's still purpose for your life. And that it was just a chapter, right? It might have been several chapters of your life, but those chapters have ended, and it's time to write a new story. So that's pretty much, a new story. It's time to write a new story. So that was pretty much the mindset shift for me, wanting women to experience what I'm experiencing on the other side, that there's still beautiful relationships, there's still beautiful life, just in general, your health, your mindset, your spiritual, your all of it, all the parts. And my platform is Beautiful Living. So I just like this whole life wellness, right? It's holistic wellness. So it's your whole life. And I want them to experience that. A lot of women get stuck into what was and won't move forward.
Oh, girl, you just said you preached the whole sermon, that whole little segue. Just it's so much going in my head right now. So let me kind of back up. Let's go back to the beginning, right? Because what you said something like the pain that you experienced, which you like, God, give me the pain. And he was like, nah, I'm cool. I don't want you to have that. Right. And then
Mhm.
you went on to say, like, this is just some chapters and there's a new story to be written. I immediately thought, like, you kind of like died and came back almost like a reincarnation. Uh,
Mhm.
so tell me more about that pain when you decided, or I don't know if you decided, if your partner decided to get the divorce. Kind of
Mhm.
like walk me through that pain and how you got through that.
Okay. So no, I was not the one who wanted the divorce. It was my ex.
Mm-hmm.
My ex wanted the divorce. I did not see it coming. There were ups and downs in a marriage, just like any other relationship. I had been with him since a teenager, for one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was with him from teenager all the way through my 20s, 30s, and then 40, boom, I'm getting a divorce. And you're like, who does that at 40? I got to go on these streets and start try to mix and mingle with these men that probably are already married, already take, all these things and date.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like I ain't in my 20s doing this or my 30s. This like 40. It feels different. It looks different. You like, what in the
right,
right. Um that journey for me, hearing those words, really what he said to me is there comes a time in a man's life when he's unable to lead his family, he must leave to lead another family. And yeah,
another
there-
thing.
yeah, that's what he said. That's how my journey began, pretty much. I moved out eventually. We had been renting out our home because I thought we were out exploring different locations and such. And I get that said to me a few months shy of our lease supposed to be up, right? And I had to make a decision, like I had to leave. You know what I'm saying? And so I had never lived on my own.
Mm,
Never lived on my own. I actually left my mom and went straight to him.
yeah.
And so that was a journey in itself, because a whole lot of different things went through my head. Like, Lord, would I be protected? I have to go in that space, in that place by myself now. Would I be able to afford to live on my own? Um, what is life going to really look like? Because I had been with him for so long, right?
Okay.
So there was a lot of apprehension. There were a lot of double dutching, like, I'm gonna leave today. No, you're not. No, you can't. Can you do this? And I remember finding a place to stay. And the funny part is, when I was about to sign a lease, I looked up and saw my ex at the same spot. He
Wow.
was about to he was about to sign a lease at the same spot, and he spotted me, but he don't know that I saw him, so he took off back to the car. But anywho, so that would have been hilarious had I been gone 10 minutes before then, and to know that we both ended up in the same spot, right?
Look
And
at
so, right,
look at guy. He was just
yeah,
the way you talk about protection, right? That was
yeah,
protection. You see what I'm
right,
saying? Like
right. It was like, oh
let me
my
go
God,
not let you go here.
right. And
Wow.
so, right, and so I went on and signed the lease, but I couldn't move in.
Hmm.
I was I was afraid, I signed it. I was supposed to move in, and like the very next month I did not. That apartment stayed empty for
Wow.
like 2 months, right? And then I slowly started to get it, move forward and start doing those things like moving in or whatever. But I remember one day I was going to go put some things in the apartment, still not staying there.
Hmm.
And I remember I was about to go out the door and I paused, and it was a wall. And I remember sliding down that wall And I asked God to protect me, to guide me, to be with me in this new space. And I remember tears flowing down my face. And I end up on the floor, just sitting there. And after that, I got up and I walked forward, right? I made a decision like, you got to do this. It's time. And I did. That wasn't, just the end of the story, because after moving in, there were days that I didn't know how I left the house and came back. It felt like I was in a dream. It felt just unreal, very in a surreal place, right? There were many days. I never stayed like I ain't getting out the bed type. That's not my personality. However, I really did, to be honest. I worship and prayed my way through. That was worship music every day, affirmations on the mirror that to remind myself of who I was, because I was going through something that I never foresaw. I might have thought about it in my head, but I was like, well, I ain't gonna be the one to pull the trigger on that.
Right.
Um, but I had to figure out a way to not stay in that place. I didn't have anyone that could relate to my to that emotion. All my friends were married, had never been divorced, and the one that had been divorced, she said she got married and was pretty much divorced the next day. So she didn't experience the pain. She was like, I can't relate. Like, it was like we could have got this a no, right?
Yeah.
And she's since remarried. So she really couldn't relate. She was like, I, so nobody could relate to that pain. Only thing they can do was listen, and cry with me, right? And so I felt like, even though I had this support system of people calling to check on me, crying with me, I still felt alone because nobody could feel, or nobody could relate to the
Yeah.
depth of the pain that I was feeling. It was a lot of me sitting there, talking with God through some things, crying through some stuff, worshiping. My affirmations got me a long way, because I even had this lamp, and I had post-it notes, and I started putting post-its on the thing, made like a carousel, and
Yeah.
I would spin it and read it, and then even when I thought I would want to go back to him, sometimes I had to put things for the reason why I have to keep moving forward, right? Yeah. And so it was all on the things, like, nope, that is the reason why you can't go back. No, that is the reason. That is the first part of the journey.
Okay. Listen, the first part sounds amazing, and I got questions. So,
Okay.
um, how long was it? You said you moved into this apartment, took you about 2 months to move in. How long was that after the initial, like after the divorce? Like, how long was that?
So he told me in August. I went looking for apartment. I was supposed to move in September. I moved in October. We did not. We didn't get a divorce until almost a year and a half later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. He ended up moving around the corner from me, and yeah, I think we were like 9 minutes apart,
Wow.
and we ended up, and we had kids. So
Okay.
that's a whole nother part to it,
Mhm.
right? One that was left, the other two were one in college, and the other one had graduated from college but was living on her own. So it had to be about a year and 5 months.
Wow. Wow. Okay. And then this pivotal moment that you talked about when you like slid down the wall and you were crying and basically crying out to God. And after that, you just had to move forward. Some things that you said you did was worship music, pray, and affirmations, which I love so much, especially the affirmations. I just did a whole episode on affirmations.
Yeah.
Um, so tell me, like, if you remember, like, what was some of those affirmations that you told yourself that kind of helped you to move forward?
I know that they were affirmations that told me who I was. Like, maybe I am beautiful. I am powerful. I am above and but not beneath. Like, those things I know I wrote. You will get through this. You are amazing. You're amazing mom, because I had started even questioning my motherhood. You are wanted. I am wanted. And it was a plethora, because it was in my bathroom mirror, because I knew I had to go to the bathroom several times a day, right? And I would be and I wrote it over the sink that I would not usually wash my hands. I had two sinks, so I wrote it over the sink that I mostly would be in, so that it's in my face. But I wrote that I was enough. I remember writing that on there. There were a plethora, because I'm an affirmation type girl. So whatever was that I felt I needed in that moment to remind myself of who I was, those were the affirmations that I wrote on the mirror. And then I repeated those affirmations on the Post-it notes and some other things, because in between that time, there were moments where we he wanted to reconcile, but then yeah, and so it was this back and forth with that. It was this back and forth. Maybe we should reconcile, maybe we should, maybe, it was all of that until it ended up in divorce. And there were quite a few decisions I had to make for myself. One was learning to be by myself, right? I had been with him for so long and we did so much together. And even when I was apart from him, like in the office, I never wanted to go to lunch by myself. I never wanted to do things by myself. It was always with people. In this moment, I learned that you got to learn to do this by yourself.
Yeah.
Not apart from other, you're not by yourself, but you need to do some things by yourself.
Yeah.
And that was, learning to go to the movies by myself, learning to go take myself to dinner, learning to go take nature walks, like whatever it was, anything that I might have done with him, I needed to do by myself.
Yeah.
And that was power in that, to let myself know that you're going to be okay, because
Yeah.
you can do this by yourself, right? Because I hadn't had to, even in marriage, he had gone to the movies by himself, or he had gone to dinner, or, went and got something to eat. I never did it. I was just like, how you do that? You know what I'm saying? Now, I was never there, so I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But um, I learned to do those things by myself. And what happens post divorce to a lot of women is they don't take the time to get to learn themselves. They don't take the time to do some self-reflecting, because even in this time, I had to self-reflect,
Yeah.
what lessons did I learn out of this? What are the lessons I need to learn from this, right? What are the things that I really need to sit with myself and apologize to myself for, and those things. And that's hard when you having to really sit with yourself
Yeah.
and reflect, and
Yeah.
not be in such a rush to move into a new relationship. And that's another thing that I notice women do. They want to hurry up and get married again. They want to hurry up and be with somebody else, but have not taken the time to self-reflect and to really to know what they want next.
Yeah. Pause there. Stop right there. Pause. Because you just said that was a whole mouthful. Because I do think that's important that women do self-reflect, right? I
Mhm,
think that pain that people
mhm,
feel after a breakup, divorce, you know, whatever, I think that pain is like, oh, let me ease the pain. If I just go with someone else, that other person can ease that pain, not knowing that you bring in a whole
mhm,
bunch of
mhm,
baggage into this next
mhm.
relationship that will then ultimately end because you haven't did
Right.
right. And so I
Mhm,
love that you're just like, no, I had to sit with that. And sitting with that is
mhm,
hard and it's
mhm.
uncomfortable. And it's all these uncomfortable feelings that we feel. And I think that's when people are like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this. And they just bounce out or
Mhm.
rather and go find somebody else. And you're saying, like, no, you have to sit with that. Like you
Yeah.
do some forgiveness. You have to forgive yourself, you have to forgive your
Mhm.
ex-partner. You
Mhm.
talk to God about it. So yes, I just want to pause and you can keep going. I just want to pause and
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
I remember some friends of mine, they really was trying to just to figure out how to support me.
Mm-hmm.
And naturally it was like, you just need to go on a date.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, no, I don't want to go on a date.
Yeah.
Well, we think you should go on a date,
Yep.
And men alike. Men was telling me too. You just need you need the presence of the masculine in your life right now. You just need to go and we ain't telling you to go sleep with nobody. We telling you just go on a date with them. And my repeated answer was no.
Good for you.
And they said it one too many times.
Yeah.
And this is where the boundary comes in.
Yes.
And
Come on.
I had to say, I already told y'all I'm not ready. I said, first of all, I'm not ready to be dating anybody.
Mm-hmm.
I have it's not that easy for me to leave somebody that I loved, had been with all this time, and then just go jump to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Thirdly, I won't be even any good for the somebody else's son, and I don't need nobody free meal. I can buy my own meal. So because I don't need a free meal, I don't have to go sit across from nobody else.
Right.
And going to sit across from somebody else not going to make this go away. That is a temporary fulfillment that is not going to last, and I'm be still feeling the same way until I deal with me. That is not the answer. And I don't want to be wasting nobody's son's time. I
Yeah.
wasn't in that space. And I said, so if you say it again,
Mm-hmm.
we ain't gonna talk for a while.
Mm. Come on, boundaries. Yes. And these are like friends, like people that
Mm-hmm.
you've known for
Mhm. It was
like,
multiple friends. It wasn't as I mean, I had a lot of friends that was in the circle trying to help, but there were a few of them, husband and wives, that were like, "You just need to do it," and I was like, "No, no, I don't." And they respected that boundary, and they apologized, and they was like, "We didn't mean it, harm. We just you are hurting. We see it, and we just want. We don't know. We just trying to help." You know, and in their mind, that would be a way. Like, just go. It'll take your mind off it for me. And I said, yeah, for that moment, or maybe not. Maybe
yeah,
I found myself across the table talking about
yeah,
what I'm going
yeah,
through, type deal, right? And so I had to stand on that boundary.
yeah,
That leave me alone about that.
yeah,
Leave
absolutely.
me alone. Yeah, leave me alone about that. And when I'm ready, I'll do it. And
Yeah.
even when you think you're ready, a lot of times you're really not ready. Because even when I finally thought I was ready, I realized that I wasn't ready.
Mm.
But it allowed me to see you ain't quite there, girl. You ain't quite there. So
So
you can
what
go.
was it? What was it that let you know that you wasn't ready, like when you thought you were ready? So what was the thing? And you were like, "Ooh, maybe I'm not."
Yeah. So when you are going to start dating, and first of all trying to get too serious too quick,
Mm.
um, that was a sign. Another thing was the moment that they did not do something they said that they was going to do, then you felt probably a rejection,
Mm-hmm.
that it wasn't really stemming from them. It was from this whole divorce thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that was some of the things, like that rejection piece of, you said you was going to do this and you didn't do that, or, what I'm saying? And finding myself like, and starting to question, am I, like, dang, you know, all I hear all the time is how beautiful you are, so beautiful, whatever. Why is it so difficult? If I'm this beautiful, why? And so that was like, hold up, time out.
Yeah.
You ain't ready.
Right.
You're not ready. I'm not telling you to stop. And then this is the conversation. I'm not telling you to stop dating because it's okay at this point. However, you don't need to be going into it with the mindset of getting in another relationship. Going into it as hey, this is a space that is new for me, and learning to learn how to just take your time and don't get serious. And I had to learn how to say, you need to be able to date multiple men at one time. That
Mm.
was a whole new journey for me, right? That was a whole new thing because in my mind, and I don't know how men do it. And the women who can do it, I don't know, because that was tiring. But what it did was it helped me in the times because I couldn't do it long. It helped me in the times to not get so caught up on one person, right? And it was more for me to be able to just have fun and just to get out in that space again. But I was tired, Melissa. When I tell you, I was like, how they do this? Start mixing folks' stories up. Like, so I'm talking to him like, he said, what? And I was like, ooh, that was the other person who said that. How they do this?
Girl, that is funny. And that's real. I remember I did multiple dating or dating multiple people at one time. I was doing the dating apps. And so I'm like on all the apps. I'm like, yeah, I'm going here, I'm going on dates. And I went on one with one guy and I said, yeah, you the guy that did. And he was like, no. And I was like, oh, that must have been my brother. I was talking to my brother, girl, talking to another dude. I ain't know.
But what I realized was I needed more time to heal.
Yeah.
And I needed to give myself the space to do that. And so, I look back on some of those first dating relationships, and air quoting, that I had, and I said, now come for me now. It's you gonna get a different Keisa, right? Than what you got the first time. There were times where I felt like I was shrinking. I was shrinking and not being like, this is not who you are. So why are you presenting yourself? You didn't even present
like you were like compromising like who you were to be with these people.
Well, I'm not going to say compromising. I would say I started off. So if they saw me as this confident woman, right? I'm out here in these streets and you're approaching me and they be like, well, she confident. But then when you get into the, start getting to know the person, and then you start allowing things that you wouldn't allow to just pass by. And then you give it another chance, or be like, what the world? Like, you wouldn't even got another chance with the heel version of Keisa. You know what I'm saying? So those were some of the things that I had to be like, wait a minute, you just let this guy tell you X, Y, and Z, or not show up, and then you back on the phone like, no, that is not, you know what I'm saying? So my self-worth, you know what I'm saying? And so I had to grab that like really quickly. It didn't take me long, but it was something I was like, yeah, you need to go work on yourself some more. Because there are still some wounds there that are showing up even when you are trying to be in these dating streets. And and I was okay with that. I was okay with just being by myself. And I had guys, friends that I can go out and dance with, have a good time with, but then still come back and work on myself. Do you know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I like how you had red flags for yourself, right? We always talk about, ooh, looking for the red flags with someone else, but we have red flags as well. And it sounds like for you, you was like, ooh, girl, what's up? And ooh, let's not. I don't think I'm healed yet, right? So you had your own red flags that was coming up for you, which made you go back and self-reflect, which I think is also great. Question for you now. We're gonna kind of switch a little bit of gears here because I love your whole story. This is great. Loving this interview. So we're gonna kind of switch gears. So Christianity and divorce. We know that who the saints have been told different things, right? Like, what was your thoughts on divorce and Christianity? And then now being a divorced woman on the other side, do you still have those same, I guess, thoughts or beliefs as far as with divorce?
Well, I know I was going through my divorce. I think I was really trying to save it at the same time. Like I was praying for it. I was praying for God to come in and save it and restore it. And
Yeah.
there were so many people that I met, strangers, for whatever reason. Conversation will strike up, and I was able to tell them like how what I was going through, and they would be like, "Oh, I went through a divorce, but I remarried my husband." Or, "Oh, my aunt and uncle went through that, but they got remarried." So it was like all these people. I was like, "God, you trying to tell me I'm gonna remarry my husband? Even if we go through a divorce, because I know that's possible. People do it, right?" But it was a plethora of people I met, right? So I was like, well, maybe, Lord, that's your sign. So I was constantly saying, well, Lord, you don't believe in divorce, and so why don't you, save this? I didn't have anybody in the church per se telling me don't get a divorce, because one, the church that I was a part of, they didn't know me from just being a number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just a number on the roll. And so when I was going through the very initial, I don't know how I got on the phone with this person, but we did. And I was telling her that I was about to go through a divorce, and she told me about a ministry at a church.
Okay.
It was called Married Life.
Okay.
And so I went to attend Married Life. It's only so far I can go, because I couldn't go through the curriculum without my spouse being willing to come, and he wasn't willing. And
Uh,
so, yeah, he wasn't willing. He had made up in his mind that he didn't want to go to counseling. He didn't want to go to the Married Life. He wasn't willing to do any of those things. And so I kept going and praying and all of this. And I kept saying, Lord, why won't you save my marriage? But if I'm completely open and vulnerable about it, God did say what was the reason for divorce. If we go by the reason that he says okay, even though he hates divorce, then my case applied. And
mm,
so yeah, and so my case was one of the cases that um applied for that I could apply for divorce. So he, what I'm saying, it fit the reason why God said it was okay to
yeah.
divorce. Although I didn't want the divorce, I was still pleading with God to save it,
Yeah.
right? So it was my own things, like, God, you don't believe in divorce, and God, that saddens your heart. Like I was saying all that to him. So why you ain't doing nothing to stop this, and da 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 da. I mean, so it was more me than the people in the street or the church. Like I said, I never gotten it from anybody. It was my own, what I knew, what I believed. And I was reminding God of, like you said, but then I said, well, then you did say this too, I think at the end of the day, now post divorce, I still don't believe in divorce. Well, let me rephrase that.
Mm-hmm.
Marriage is a beautiful thing when
Yeah.
done with the right person.
Yeah.
I am for marriages. I am not let's go divorce team. I am not pro, let's do this thing. I won't ever tell nobody to leave their marriage unless you are being abused, some really crazy things, like, your life is on the line. We got to get you out of that, sis, right? But I have people now that come to me with various things that are going on. And the first thing I always say is, I don't even want to ever tell you to walk away from your marriage. That don't have to be your decision. That's a you and God decision. Because at the end of the day, whatever the consequences are from your decision, that's going to be between you and God. And you ain't ever say, well, I listened to you and that you told me to do this, right?
Right.
Because I believe that things can be worked through. In this season, I've seen a lot of different reasons why people have gotten or going through divorce, have gotten divorced. And I'm not in their shoes, and only the person in those shoes know what's too much for them, you know? And
Mhm.
that's something that they have to decide, and something they have to live with, and that's something they have to account for.
Yeah.
So
So
I just leave it at that, because it's like, oh, well, you should not, no grounds for divorce unless it's through cheating, infidelity, or something like that, because that's what the Bible says, right?
mhm.
However, I'm not in your shoes.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. I like that. So what do you do for women? Let's move into like what do you do? Because You started talking about how in this season you're starting to see some women coming in with different things, this, that, and the third. How are you helping women? Like, what do you do to help women? Do you have courses? Do you have
Mm-hmm.
like, are you a coach? Like, tell the
Mm-hmm.
people just in case someone's listening, they are interested.
Yeah, so I am a coach. I am a certified professional coach. I do help women to reclaim their lives and thrive so that they can experience beautiful living. I do have a 90-day program called Revive and Thrive. I also have I have master classes, Reclaim Your Life, the 3 keys to moving forward and thriving. I'm about to get ready to put together a retreat in the top of the year. Yeah. I also have something coming up in December called Renew Her. And so I will be posting all that on my Instagram and social media platforms. So I'm always doing something on a weekly basis. You can catch a masterclass, and the masterclasses are free. And so that's a resource that I've given on a free. I was doing them like twice a month. Now I'm gonna kick it up to once a week. So you can't say you don't have the resources you need, right, to move forward. You can't say you were stuck and you couldn't find nobody who who had experience. Because sometimes people go to people for help, but they hadn't even experienced it themselves. You know what I'm saying? And let me just go back to tell you why I know what I do works, because I was in that place. 1. 2, I had to literally coach myself through, because my friends hadn't experienced it.
Right.
And God had already given me some things that I already had started talking about. And I had been questioning him, like, Lord, why are you giving me this stuff? I hadn't even experienced this, but this is good. So I'm gonna go talk about it. Right. But I felt like I didn't want to talk about those things because I had not experienced it. Right. I was like, Lord, but I hadn't even experienced it. Like, why are you telling me to talk about this? Girl, it was for me.
Ooh.
I had to go out and put the course out before I knew I was gonna need it for myself.
Wow. Wow. Look how God be working.
I had to sit down at the table and
Wow.
take myself
Mm.
through,
Mhm.
and so I know that that's how I know it's beautiful living on the other side.
Because
you
you,
know
you're doing it. Because you're
yeah.
on the other side. Because you on the other side. I absolutely love that.
What I will say to the woman who is listening, that again, I'm going to reiterate that there is beautiful living on the other side of a divorce. That divorce was just a chapter in your life, but you cannot go at it alone. You do need a coach to help you, some therapy. All these things are going to be a pivotal part of your thriving forward movement. And I call it movement and journey because that's exactly what it is. And know that there is help for you. I empower women to reclaim their life, right? And I always say I'm just a co-pilot in
Yeah.
your life. You are the pilot. And as you journey forward, I'm just right there on the other side, sitting next to you, helping you to reach what your vision for beautiful living looks like. I cannot define that for you. That is something that you have to define for yourself, but I can help you get there.
Yes, we have very similar, I guess, outlooks when it comes to working with people, right? As a
Mm-hmm.
therapist, I always tell people I'm Siri and you're
Mm-hmm.
the driver. I'm just telling you the directions, but you can go however you want
Mm-hmm.
to go as long as we're safe and we healthy. If you're not,
Mm-hmm.
then we got to stop. But
Mm-hmm.
you're the expert of your life and you can figure it out. I'm just here just helping. So I love the
Mm-hmm.
co-pilot. You the co-pilot, I'm Siri, same thing. So I think
Right.
that's great. See, that's why we connected, girl. Because
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
y'all can see, look, read your random emails because it may be someone on the other side who is a
Yes.
like Keisa.
Yes. Yes. Read them.
Yes, read them. So tell the people where you can be found, your social media handles, your website, all the things.
Yes, my social media handle, I am on all platforms as Keisa Campbell. My website is KeisaCampbell.com. It is just as simple as that. to book a breakthrough call with me. Because you are here listening from Melissa, it'll be a complimentary call for you. And you can just click the link I'll put a link in my bio, or shoot. Yeah, it's in my bio, but just click in there. I will probably have something in there. You can say you heard it from Melissa, and it'll be complimentary to you, so you can schedule your free complimentary breakthrough call to see how I can take you from where you are into where you want to be.
Yes, and all that will be in the show notes. All the Keisa's handles, because she has so many, because she's so popular.
Yeah, and what I probably would do is send you, Melissa, I'll send you the direct link, so they won't even have to do that. I just send you the direct link for my calendar, and they can and so they can just go straight there, and then they don't have to put in a code or anything like that.
Okay, so you heard of her. Y'all get a complimentary call just because you listen. So listen and then call. Well, Keisa, this has been a good time. We have to do it again because there's so many other questions that I have for you that I couldn't fit in this short amount of time. But you are a beautiful soul, beautiful woman, and you are living this beautiful life after divorce. So,
thank you.
Thank you so much for showing up. And again, you all know that all episodes drop on Mondays. Share, like, retweet, do all the things that Share does, that sharing does. Tell your uncle, your mama, your cousin, and them. And I will see you all next week. Peace. Thank you for listening. Go ahead and share this episode with your family and friends. Don't forget to take the quiz on my website to figure out which Beyonce song matches your toxic trait. Go ahead and check it out at the-revolution.com. That's THE-REBELUTION.com. Thanks, and see you next time.